interesting to see for him, and also in a different way, injury or not, how Adrian Peterson and his declines both show themselves are and accepted. Both of these guys have been so big, so well known at their respective positions that, it's obvious that Darrelle Revis has started his decline. Adrian Peterson, it's hard to tell, especially this year because our offensive line is terrible. But he comes back from this injury. Let's just say Sam Bradford takes off in the next couple of weeks, because I don't think with a torn meniscus that Adrian Peterson is going to play next week. He takes a couple of weeks, Sam Bradford does well, and takes some of the pressure off the run game. If he comes out and still doesn't run the ball well, you got to start kind of looking more closely at what he's done, what he's doing, what he can do.
Well, as an Adrian Peterson fantasy owner, I'm gonna speak a little bit on that because I've had him for the last couple of years. He actually, the last few years, he started slow. He started slow, had a couple of bad games, and I've been like, damn, should I trade him or not?
Right.
I don't, and I keep him, and he builds up speed. Adrian Peterson is an old school type of back. He's the back, the more carries, the better he gets. The more he runs the ball in a game, the more he wears the defense down, the more the same plays start to look slightly different. As from a player's point of view, and if you notice this year, most of the successful running backs have had 20-plus carries.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't very many running backs who are getting 12 to 13 carries and putting up 100 yards rushing, because it's freaking hard, because you haven't felt the defense. You haven't felt the running lanes. You don't understand what's going on. Adrian Peterson is a guy who needs a lot of touches. Now, if the Vikings can play well without him, when he gets back in rotation, will they give him those touches? I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to at his age, but I know that he won't be, and he isn't successful when you give him less than 20 touches.
I'm not the biggest Adrian Peterson fan. I feel like he's too boom or bust, which is why I haven't really been. I mean, he's a great player and he's a Hall of Famer. Just his game, I'm not really a fan of. He's not really much of a factor out of the backfield. I value versatility in my running backs. I think the pure running back is something that, as P so eloquently put it, is antiquated. Just that you do your damage on first to second down. I think those running backs are gone. I mean, they're here, but the day of the pure running back is gone. You have your specialists now. You have your Danny Woodheads. It's very few running backs who stay on the field all three downs. And honestly, I'm just not. I was never really a fan as far as his injury. This could be a blessing in disguise for Minnesota. I think it's time to. I think it's time to come to 2016. When was the last time? When was the last time a team focused on the running game made it far?
I mean, are we excluding Seattle? Because that's my immediate response is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson also contributed to the running game, and he could actually pass the ball too.
Right. And that's why I said I think excluding them because
Okay. I don't think we necessarily should, but I don't think they're an apples to apples comparison either.
Right.
Like you said, Sam Bradford taking off is a big if, a huge if.
Right.
But he made some incredible throws, especially to throw to Diggs in the end zone where he was pressured. My good, I've never seen him play that well before. I was amazed at that throw, the arm strength, the touch with the pressure in his face. Yeah, that was a big time throw. So I see why some people are always fooled. I don't want to say fooled, but are tantalized by Bradford's talent if he just throws it down the field. I think this is the time that Minnesota needs to say, you know what? We're going to build this offense around Diggs and Bradford. Let's see where we get.
Diggs and Bradford. Did you forget that Teddy Bridgewater is coming back though?
Well, I'm just talking about
the offense around Bradford.
Well, you can build it this year. Teddy ain't coming back this year.
And
True, but
there's some question about whether he'll be ready next year.
well, then that's
Right.
also the question
Correct.
is you got to think of where's this team going to go for the future. Do they want to lean on Bradford and hope that he can be there? I guess I don't know what is it their bridge guy until Teddy Bridgewater comes back, or do you say or do you say Adrian Peterson has put in work for us, and he even had to sit out a year for no physical reason, and still came back and put in work for us? Do we just cut ties with that guy, which is likely as well because the NFL is a cruel monster? But
Yeah.
I think for the Vikings, that's a tough thing to do, and you're still constantly competing with the Packers for that division. So you have to win. You don't have time to really figure something out. You're always trying to win now. And honestly,
you're trying to keep your job.
yeah. And basically outside of Adrian Peterson, are the running backs they have, are they good enough to fill the void that will be there without the running game?
But Adrian Peterson hasn't been good this year anyway. So what are
Been
you
2
really
weeks,
missing?
man. It's a 16-game season, and
I
like I
understand
said,
that.
he's
No,
not.
no, I get
He's
that.
rarely good this early in the season, anyways. What I'm
I
saying
get.
is, do you want to jump ship this early?
But what are you jumping ship on though? Like because
Your
if he
identity.
misses a few weeks, I mean, but the Packers look eminently beatable. Like if again, it is a big if. If Bradford continues to play well, him and Diggs have obvious chemistry. I love Diggs. You know, I love him as a receiver. So if him and Diggs build chemistry and they beat a few teams, why would you change it?
I'm not saying to change it. I'm saying, do you want to rely on that? Is that going to get you deep in the playoffs? Is that going to win the division? I'm not trusting Sam Bradford for anything. But
But
also, I don't want to bank my offense on Sam Bradford playing well because he'll get hurt. He always does.
I mean, and
then what you're stuck with, then you're back to square one in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they can't have a good thing going, but I'm not going to focus on them. I would, if I was in charge, I would focus on one. They have a hell of a defense. I would focus on my defense keeping me in the game, and I would manage the game and take shots, but I would still I would try to create a run game because with McKinnon and I think it's Asiata or whatever, if you can create some type of run game with those guys, you can keep the other team off the field. You keep the other team off the field, and then when the other team gets on the field for offense, your defense is playing lights out like they are, only second to the Denver Broncos in total defense, then you got a recipe that we know that, okay, Sam Bradford, we can keep him from getting injured, or Teddy Bridgewater is coming back, or Adrian Peterson is going to actually be able to help us. Then at that point, we can say, you know what, we already have a system in place that we can plug in guys and step it up a notch. But if I'm constantly trying to say, okay, we're going to build around this guy, we're going to focus on this, we don't have an identity. I think right now the most consistent thing the Vikings have is a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Center it around that. Make sure that your defense is in the best position to win. Make sure you're not having 3 and outs on offense. Make sure you're controlling the clock. Play Minnesota football, man. Minnesota, Steelers, Packers, old school football. Control the ball, good defense. That'll work for them, and they have the personnel for it. Now, in the future, maybe you open things up. The way Bridgewater was progressing, they were going to be opening up the offense anyways. I just don't trust handing it over to Sam Bradford because his record, I mean, it is what it is. He's going to get hurt.
Here's my question to that, and I'm going to try to not go too far on this. I was watching something the other day, and they talked about with what they gave up potentially for Sam Bradford if the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl. And I think that's a big if, even before Adrian Peterson got hurt, because you still got to beat Seattle, regardless of how they look right now. They'll probably figure it out.
And Carolina.
I was going to say, and then Carolina is still out there.
And Arizona.
To me, Arizona and Carolina are head and shoulders above everybody. Seattle, obviously, won a Super Bowl. We're in the Super Bowl a couple of years in a row, so you still have to talk about them. But I don't think they're on the same level as Arizona and Seattle. But you got three teams that are head and shoulders above Minnesota. So them getting to the Super Bowl is a big if. But if they do, that fourth round pick that they gave up for Sam Bradford turns into a second. At which point you're talking about they giving up a first and second round pick for Sam Bradford in hopes of making the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. So let's just say hypothetically, and this is what I was watching the other day, the guy was talking about. Let's just say hypothetically, the Vikings do make it to the Super Bowl either this year or Teddy Bridgewater is not ready to go next season because of the severity of his knee injury, and you go with Bradford another year and make a deep playoff run. What do? You're at a point then where Teddy Bridgewater is at the end of his rookie contract.
Yep.
Sam Bradford's contract is up, and he's been your guy for 2 years.
And you don't have a running back.
Right. Because realistically, Peterson may be gone at that point.
Yeah.
How do you build that team? Do you just go all in on Bradford, pay him Kirk Cousins money, hope for the best? Or do you let him walk and take a chance on trying to rebuild Teddy Bridgewater's confidence? Or do you let Teddy Bridgewater walk and watch him actually go around and possibly be nasty somewhere else? I feel like there's never been a situation kind of like this in the NFL where you've had two quarterbacks in this situation that expired around the same time. I can't think of any time where you had to make that choice between two expiring quarterbacks.
Well, besides the Peyton and Brock Osweiler situation.
Yeah, right.
But even like you said,
kind of a different situation because
even like you said, that situation for the Vikings is a much more severe situation than anywhere else because look, and using your hypothetical, Alan, in 2 years, Stephon Diggs will be a freaking star.
Right.
And you're telling him that we don't even know who's going to be the quarterback for you. You're the star, but we don't know who's going to be throwing you the ball. He's a star, but he's no Randy Moss. You can't just put him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have a rapport with who he's playing with.
Right.
And if he builds a great rapport with Bradford, going back to what AJT said, are you building around Diggs or are you just trying to create a new identity? I mean, I think that in that situation, you're going to say, well, if him and Bradford has worked, I have to stick with that. And then there you go, Bradford with another contract, and me still wondering how is he getting paid.
Okay, but that's something completely different. Like whether he gets his money or not, like that doesn't have anything to do with us. Like
it's all speculation.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I do because I wonder too. But I guess for the sake of this exercise, I don't really think that particular portion matters. Things in football don't usually work out like you speculated. Things in football tend to work themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll point out to you, P, that you said you don't have faith in Sam Bradford leading them to the playoffs, but you have faith in Adrian Peterson doing that.
I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth. What I said was
I'm just trying to.
I said that with Adrian Peterson, they know what they get from him and they have an identity. There is a plan with him on the team. With Sam Bradford, you don't have a strategy. You don't have a plan. You have to come up with a new one. I'm saying that they're not in the position to be trying to come up with a new plan in a year that the coach is still trying to keep his job. They need to try to get into the playoffs and win their division. Because going in as a wild card is not going to benefit them. Because like we said, Carolina, Seahawks, Arizona, one of them is going to be a wild card team, and that's trouble for the Vikings first round.
Absolutely.
Away game. You don't want to play in Carolina, Seattle, or Arizona. Well, maybe Arizona. But still.
I don't know.
Like with those things being so, I mean, none of that is set in stone and it's not being, like it's stuff that they don't have worked out already. I'm just not a big proponent of like trying to figure it out. Especially when you have so many things going on in that organization right now. The only consistent is the defense.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, injuries.